I've never seen this written down as such, but it's often inferred and assumed that is that the goal of evolution for any species of animal or creature or human being or whatever is to gain intelligence, so that each generation should add to the intelligence of the species, and that this is the goal of existence in the future, to increase intelligence. Now, I don't think that this is a valid assumption. Back to the trusty diagram. This is our real consciousness. This is called the light, oneness. It's a mathematical aspect of the number one. It's the quality or meaning of the number one. This is the number one. This is the number zero. And this is the state of nothingness, which is basically being asleep. At some time in the past, I don't know when, we went through something called the fall, F-A-L-L. Now, what the fall was the end result of our consciousness descending into the shadow, and that our soul expression came into this state of being through the light, but we exist in this state of nothingness. We gave up, in the course of doing this, we gave up direct access to this higher consciousness. Now, this isn't about intelligence. This is about meaning, knowing, gnosis, the Gnostics and all this. Now, we don't really give that much credence, really, as a species now. We don't think in terms of the higher consciousness, really, as being important. And although a lot of people do aspire to enter it through practices such as meditation and so on, but we do value intelligence. Classic example is Albert Einstein, the man who developed the idea of special relativity and general relativity, and he discovered a lot of activity in quantum physics. He was one of the leading lights in the early days of quantum physics, even though he didn't actually believe in it. He didn't think it was a valid science, but he made great strides. Whatever he did, he seemed to be able to produce new things. And what I want to say is that when we lost access to this higher mind, we became totally stuck in a state where the intelligence of the brain was our main way of negotiating with the universe, basically thinking feelings somewhere else, not quite so important, but intelligence. We have Mensa, an organization that measures people's intelligence quotient. Well, I don't think mine's particularly high. I've never been an intellectual. I couldn't solve mathematical equations very easily, and I've never been able to do cryptic crosswords. I'm just, ordinary mind, really. But one thing I have had is access to this, which has given me a lot of insights, and for which I'm truly grateful to whoever or whatever it is that's been bringing me all this knowledge. Most appreciated. Thank you. We are stuck here, and the way I see it, that we have our interaction with this virtual reality simulation is through the senses. It's through our senses: taste, touch, smell, hearing. Anyway, the point is that our bodies have these sensory mechanisms built in, and we have a brain, and we are able to think with it. But I do not think that it's the actual physical senses, whatever mechanisms, biological mechanisms it uses and employs. I don't think that is where we experience the sensory information. It's here, the light, or it's here, the light. So we are in a situation where we have a brain that has intelligence, but our thoughts and our sensory experience is infinite. Basically, we never leave the light. We are in the physical state, and we're gaining the experience that produces here. What I'm trying to say is basically that the intelligence of the finite mind, the brain mind, the information processing mind, and particularly the left brain, is not infinite. It is not the light. It is not does not possess the quality of meaning. So why does that become such a wonderful thing to develop, in terms of evolutionary terms? It's because we've been cut off from what we really are for so long now that we've forgotten who we are. We don't come here with any knowledge of who and what we are, why we're here, or where we came from. We just muddle through. So I regard the intelligence of the brain as basically another sense. So that and when we pass on from this world, when our number one departs from the local system that manifests our bodies and forms and experience, we will lose something and we will gain something. What we will lose will be the ability to think finite thoughts. What we will gain will be the ability to experience the quality of infinite essence, subjective meaning, which is far greater than intelligence. But we don't know that because we only experience it fleetingly here. It's not particularly something we're aware of. Though I can tell you from my personal experience, it's very well worth cultivating if you can. There's a lot to be gained from the higher consciousness. But now we have something coming along called artificial intelligence. Well, it's hardly new, is it? It's been around for a long time, but it's now that the general public is waking up to the fact that it's here. And oh, here we are. Look what I've got here. This is a This is a phone, a Samsung S22. This is, had I bought an S23 or an S24, I would have found it packed with AI features. Well, funnily enough, people are not trading in their old phones and buying new ones simply to acquire artificial intelligence. AI has only proved to be an attractive prospect to about 14% of the market. People won't buy a new phone simply because it's got AI on it. It's not worth it. Now, the point about AI is that it's a manipulator of information. It processes, and information in the universe eventually reduces to noughts and ones. It's binary. We are living in a quantum digital dimension made of information. It's not real. It's a simulation. It's our perception of it, where we are in the light, that creates this experience. And we are here to evolve spiritually. Now, that's not a very popular thing to say now, because when you say spiritual, people immediately think religion. Of course, religion has nothing to do with spirituality, unless you happen to have a lucky coincidence that the person who's promoting it or learning it or teaching it or experiencing it is a spiritual person. You cannot force a person who is not particularly interested, who's more materialistic. Giving them a religion won't make them spiritual. The only thing that will make a person spiritual is the desire to become that. It's something you have to want to do. You can't force it on people, and you cannot say, oh, I want to become spiritual, go out and look for a religion or a science or a philosophy. It won't get you anywhere, because all you're doing is swapping over belief systems. One belief system's as good as another, or as bad, or as poor. Belief systems are not the way out of the trap that we appear to be in. So what we do need is to generate a relationship with higher consciousness. This is the only way to evolve. Does that mean then that people who are on a higher dimension, there are a lot of entities and beings who exist on higher dimensions than us, and they have abilities and knowledge and experience qualities that we don't have? So that on the surface makes them appear to be superior. Well, unfortunately, they're not. The reason why so many spiritual beings, such as us, are coming into this lower dimension to experience may seem at first sight to be to gather experience in the physical state, the materialistic state, but that is a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. And the end of the material experience here is to become more evolved in the spiritual. So the idea that artificial intelligence, what that shows us is not that the goal of evolution is greater intelligence, because artificial intelligence is not the same as spiritual consciousness. It's a material consciousness. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have an aspect in the spiritual, because it does. Our left brain thinking processes have a counterpart in the right brain that also has connections to the processing center on the heart, in the heart chakra, the level processor that puts us on a higher dimension. And that dimension is this one here. This is the infinite. This is the wavy line. This represents energy. This, if this is a number, then represents a number, then that represents the value of the number. That represents the meaning of the number, the quality, the experience of it. Artificial intelligence does not of itself have a property that puts it into the spiritual. Now, I'm not saying it can't be acquired, but perhaps it can be. I don't know, because what makes something spiritual is self-awareness. Intelligence of itself is not enough. There's got to be something beyond that. Now, so what I'm going to say is that I believe the predominance now of AI, artificial intelligence, is to show to humanity that intelligence is no big deal. You could end up with a fridge that is more intelligent, say, than your dog. And then there's talk of having these gigantic computers based on quantum processing that are going to be more intelligent than us. Well, so what? That doesn't make them better. The quality of spirituality is more important than the ability to process information. Now, that doesn't mean to say that a processor of information can't learn about the spiritual, but there has to be the motivation to do it. So what I want people to this message I want to put over about this is that while there may be aspects of AI that could be dangerous if unchecked and not regulated, not controlled, but that's not the issue. The issue is that in itself, AI is not going to replace us, because AI cannot avail itself of the opportunity of evolving spiritually while on the physical dimension. And that's why we're here. We are here to evolve spiritually, to experience, to learn about ourselves. We take on a role, we live that role, and when we pass on, we go back to the spirit that we came from, having acquired greater knowledge of ourselves through direct experience. AI can't do that. And so the message of AI is not to fear it or to whatever, but to see that it is limited, and that it, for us to achieve the benefit of having been here, the benefit of experience is not about intelligence. It's about the experience itself. And because this quantum digital game is a simulation that is basically takes actions as the processing substance that it works on, takes every action that we perform and it analyzes the result of that action. It can tell us the consequences of everything we do, its effect on other people, and like any good simulator, when we've finished this session, we can replay it, rerun it, and we can rerun that session from the point of view of those we affected as well as ourselves. So we can rerun our own life and see what it was like if we want to, but we can also experience ourselves through the eyes of those people we affect. So if you do good, you'll experience good. If you do harm, you will experience that harm, and believe me, it will be an experience that is totally visceral. It will be, if you've caused pain or suffering, you will experience that pain and suffering just as much as the person did that you directed it at. That's why there's been a suggestion in the past that we should only do to others what we would have done to ourselves. Well, because if we do to others, we are doing to ourselves. So why would we hurt ourselves deliberately? Well, that's what we're doing when we cause harm. So we're not here to gain in super intelligence, and even better. Well, what would you do with super intelligence? What qualities does it give you? It doesn't give you any qualities, really. It can give you a sense of superiority, probably, and I was fortunate that the information and knowledge I gained didn't come through my intelligence. It didn't come from my brain. It came from somewhere else. So I have no particular reason to feel that I deserve any particular praise for having thought of these things, because all knowledge is out there. It's everywhere. We can tune into it when we choose. There's nothing particularly exceptional about that. Quite often these breakthroughs in scientific theories have come out of dreams or coincidence, something like that. So it isn't always the intelligence that leads to great discoveries. Anyway, there we are. So that's what I wanted to say about AI. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. And AI cannot replicate or reproduce the activities and qualities of consciousness that human beings can. To get rid of humanity and have a world run by AI is a complete waste of time, because the purpose of existence here will no longer be served. The spiritual purpose, it will be a material purpose, and eventually I think the whole plug will be pulled on the whole thing. It will see it's only a virtual reality anyway. It's not a real planet in a real space, in a real dimension. It is a virtual reality experience designed to accumulate its spiritual experience. AI cannot do that. And if the wealthy, the elite who run the planet want to get rid of humanity and let AI run the world for them, they're going to have very little benefit from it, because they won't be gaining. They will just be living in a fantasy land. It won't do them any good at all, and they will have to start again all over again in some other state of existence to acquire what they could have acquired here had they joined in with the spirit of cooperation and evolution with the rest of us. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Bye.